In reading class, we use a technique called active reading on every single thing that we read. Active reading means that you're actively engaging with what you're reading. You may be asking yourself questions, thinking further about the material, taking notes, predicting what might happen next, or otherwise actively engaging with and doing something with what you're reading. In this class, you might also hear me talk about active listening or even active watching. Think about this example. How many of you turn on the TV in the background as you fold laundry or clean your house or pay your bills, even scroll through your phone or do some other task? Sometimes you have the TV on, but you're not totally watching, right? You're like watching, listening a little bit, catching some of the jokes, but not really paying full attention to what's going on the TV. And when that TV show is over, you probably have really very little memory of what was happening during the show, since you weren't fully paying attention, and it might be hard to remember details. Now, in contrast, imagine that a sequel to a movie that you love has just been released. You have been waiting years for them to release this movie. You've watched all the trailers, you've talked to all your friends about it, and you decide you're going to pay the $1 million to go to the movie theater to watch it. While you're there, you turn on your phone to silent and you put your phone away. You don't want any distractions. You're sitting in a dark theater, everyone around you is quiet, and you're paying close attention to what is happening on the screen. As you watch, you're predicting what might happen next. You are reacting to the things that the characters are doing and saying. You're paying attention to foreshadowing, which means maybe like earlier in the movie, the character did something a little shady and you suspect that he is the bad guy. And now it's been revealed he is the bad guy. And you're like, I totally predicted that. Maybe you're even questioning why characters are doing or saying certain things. You're thinking about it actively as you're watching it. Now, when you leave the theater, you and your friends go out to eat and you talk to each other about the movie. You're all excited. You're remembering favorite scenes. You're analyzing the way that the movie was shot or directed. And with this scenario, you have been very actively engaged with that movie. You can remember it a whole lot better. So we're going to do a lot of the same things while reading. And here are some things to think about while active reading. So before you begin reading, think of this as like watching the trailer to a movie. It's the short part, right? Read the title. What's the title suggest to you? And what kind of ideas do you already have about the topic? Maybe read about the author. If they give a little author blurb, what do you think about that author? And what does the author's background have to do with what you think about the title of the piece? Now, sometimes they don't give you background on the author, but sometimes there's a little blurb. So this is the short part. This is the trailer, where you just get an overview of what it's about. So before you're reading, you want to read the title, see who the author is, and then just skim over the reading. Just look at the pages, see if there's any pictures, see if there's any headings, see how long it is, that kind of thing, just to get a gist or a sense of what it's about. Then while you're reading, this is like watching the movie. This is the longer part, more involved. While you're reading, take notes, ask questions. Think about, what is the author's purpose in writing this piece? Why did they write it? What does the author want you to think about? What is implied but not stated in the piece? What is something that the author wants you to think about that they do not come out and say? What kind of ideas and support, like evidence or examples or facts, does the author use? Does the author consider other points of view or just their own? What kind of assumptions does the author make? Do they assume that you already know a lot about the topic? What type of reasoning does the author use? Then, as you're reading, you might want to go back and reread sections of it. So after you get to the end, you might go back and reread something again to further understand it or to get better clarification Or maybe it was a difficult part and you need to read it again. Think of that as like after you watch a movie, then you go home to YouTube and you watch a scene of the movie over again because you loved it so much or because it was so interesting. So while reading takes a longer piece of the puzzle, and this is almost like watching the movie itself. Then after reading, when you are done, think of this as like talking about the movie with your friends afterwards. Give yourself a quick summary and review of what you just read. Jot some notes down so that you can review them later. By taking this step, you'll actually remember a whole lot more. So tell a study partner, or you could use a pet or a family member. Pets love it when you talk to them. So I would turn to my dog and say, okay, what I just read was, and she'll just sit there and wag her tail at me. But by doing that step and just giving a quick little summary, it helps solidify it in your mind and you'll remember it better. So by doing these active reading skills, the before, during, and after reading, it'll help you comprehend and remember things better.